Yeah, good morning, everyone. So yesterday we learned about how to design a form using third-party libraries like Formic. So yesterday we discussed about Formic library, how to use Formic. And in the Formic library, we learned about how to configure a form. We have a hook called use Formic. We discussed about the features, how to handle the forms. One point we learned is collecting data from the form and submitting to the UI. For that, we learned about how to use the Formic, configuring the form. So yesterday we achieved this. So we designed a form and logic is simple. This time we configured the form with Formic. Here we are using initial values, the values that you need to collect from the form. These values must match with names of form elements. Already I told you every form element needs a name. If it is not having a name, it cannot submit. The name should match with the name that you have given here. Next, onSubmit is a function which will collect the form values, and those form values we can post anywhere in the backend API sender. As of now, we are just collecting them and we are sending. But in the next level, we will connect with backend technologies. We will send into database. We will store, we will access, we will design all the interactions. So collecting data from form without this technique is lengthy. Already you saw React in its own way. If it have to do, then lot of events you have to write. Manually, you have to collect the data, store in a state and use it. But now everything it manages implicitly. Internally, it will manage everything. So next step, now what we are going to learn here is how the form validates. That means when we are designing a form, validation is important. How to validate the form. That means we should not allow to submit empty. We should not allow to submit wrong data. Then validation is important. We designed a form, but we don't have validation. Now in Formic, how validation can happen, we'll see. Actually, we need to understand form validation. This is very important concept while working with forms. Almost in every practical interviews that you attend in companies, this task is given to you. That means almost in every React interview, what they ask you is design one form, keep all the validations in the form. In the form, what fields they need, everything they will mention. What validations they need, they will mention. They will ask you to collect the data after validating and save in some state or some local servers. Again, retrieve them and show in the UI. These kind of tasks are given almost everywhere. So a developer related to web, Java, .NET, full stack UI, anybody need to have a complete knowledge on CRUD operations because he will be practically tested anywhere in companies on CRUD operation. You know CRUD operations. That means how to insert data into database, how do we read from the database, how we update, delete through APIs. This is the mandatory practical test for every developer. So in React, we will see with different examples. We learned how to design a form. Now we need validation. What is validation? Validation is the process of verifying user input. When user inputs a value, we have to verify the input value. Why you are verifying user input? We are verifying user input to ensure that contradictory, unauthorized data is not stored in the database. That means unwanted data, wrong type of data is not stored in the database. So how this validation works, we will see. Actually, validation is the process of verifying user input. Is the process of verifying user input. Validation is required to ensure that contradictory and unauthorized data is not get stored into database. Validation is required to ensure that contradictory and unauthorized data is not get stored into the database. Contradictory data means what data type you are expecting and what data type user is sending, they are not matching. Suppose you are asking age, number, they are sending string, then that is not the correct type of data. That is contradictory. Unauthorized means you are asking 10 characters, he is sending 20 characters, that is not authorized. So we have to make sure that unauthorized and contradictory data is not stored into database. That is the first thing. So here actually React Formic library allows to write custom validations. React Formic library allows to write custom validations. You can write your own validations, custom validation, and can also use validation schemas. Custom validations means you write your own validation. Validation schema means ready-made validations are there. You can just apply them. You can use them. Either you write your own validation or you apply ready-made validation. For ready-made validations, you need some more libraries. That means React developers have to handle both of them. So because you learned HTML, and in HTML already you learned HTML have default validations. HTML is having default validations. What are the default validations of HTML? Suppose when you are designing a form. When you are designing a form, so the default validations are present. What are the default validations of elements? You have a required, you have min length, you have pattern. All these are default validations. You have a input type as what? So many validations are there, no? Input type email, input type URL. These are all HTML validations. HTML have by default validations. And I don't want those validations. Up to certain limit, these validations are sometimes good, then we can use them. And if I don't want these validations, because HTML have the ability to validate the form. By default, HTML5 provides validations. It have inbuilt validations. Required, min length, pattern. Pattern, you know, you can write the patterns. You learned meta characters now, right? That means, so A-Z or simply like /W4, 15. This is any word alphanumeric and with underscore 4 to 15. Now you can use these patterns. Already HTML teaches you all this, how to write validation. And you learned in HTML how to disable validations. To disable validations, form have an attribute called noValidate. NoValidate is used to disable the validations of HTML. It is a form attribute which is used to disable the validations. That's a general HTML thing you already learned. HTML teaches you how to validate the form, how to disable the validation. Why we have to disable validation? Because the validations provided by HTML will not satisfy all our requirements every time. In that case, what we do, we plan to write our own validation. When we plan to write our own validation, we don't want HTML validation to work anymore. So it is mandatory to disable the default form validation. For that, HTML have a attribute called noValidate. Why you need this? Because I will show here. Suppose I am using here email, and this is email, and we have a simple form with a button. Button is submit. Okay, so this is your HTML. In HTML already you have validation. Please fill out the field. So we can enter. You see, please match the requested format. That means it must be alphanumeric with at least, so here with at least minimum 4 to 15 characters. And this email, so it is invalid because email is expecting with symbol @ But when I entered GM, it says it is valid, but it is not a valid email because it is just verifying @ But we should verify, is it ending with Gmail or not? Is it ending with some .com, .in? This is not great. Then we don't want this validation. If you don't want the validations to work, you are planning for your own validations, then what we do? Generally, we plan our validations using JavaScript. Then what we do? In the form, we have to use noValidate. What this noValidate will do, it will not verify form anymore. When I am not entering anything, I actually used required. I actually used required, but without entering anything, when I submit, it is submitted. It is not validating. You entered email something, submit, it is submitted. That means noValidate is an option It is an attribute of HTML which is used to disable the validation. Why we have to disable validations? Because we want to write our own validation. So when you are writing your own validation, you have to disable. HTML already have. We don't want that every time. Then we can write our own validation. So same concept point here, very important. Every Angular, React, front-end designer knows that when he is writing the custom validations, he need to disable default validations. And how you disable default validations? By using no validate. It is a form option. Custom validation means you write your own validations. So HTML5 provides default validations for form elements, which include so we have required, min length, min, max, step, email, URL. So we have pattern. All these are validation attributes. You can disable the default validations, default form validations using no validate attribute. That generally we do for form no validate. That's what we have to do. So it is required to disable default validations when you are writing custom validations. It is required to disable default validations when you are writing the custom validations. So how custom validations are written, we will see. How you write your own validation. So how do we write our own validations? So we will see Formic custom validations. In Formic, how to write custom validations. So we need to follow some process to design the validations for form. Custom validation means you write every logic by yourself. Validation schema means already somebody written it, you just implement them. That means you don't need to write much logic. Custom means you have to write. So there is nothing like best. Why? Because you already know I showed you some validations. Can I use required in a checkbox or radio? You cannot. Can I use required in a drop down? We cannot. It can be used only for text box, password, email, URL, number. Only for them you can use required. You cannot use for drop downs. Then you have to write manually. Drop down don't have any validation. So custom validations, how do we write? Let's see. That means I want to validate the form now. This form I want to validate. How to write the validation? What you have to do is actually this form. Now this form is being used by, this is the form. This form is designed by using Formic. We created it. We configured it. Now what Formic can do is, Formic can have one function. This function you have to write your own, some validate user, some function. This function have to collect the form data. It should collect the form data. And here you have to write all the logic. That means here it needs errors, which is an object, and it should return errors. That means what happens is this errors object will keep all the validation details. That means now this form that you have designed will use this function, and whatever username you entered, it will pass into form data. That means username, mobile, whatever you are entering, it will pass into that function. This function will collect and verify them. And if there are any issues, those all issues it will keep in which location? Errors. And it will return those errors. Whatever errors are returned, you can capture those errors and we can show them here, saying that this is wrong, please verify this and all. This is custom validation. You write your own validation function and you need to verify the values and we need to report those values. Let's see how to do this. So first we need to create one function. Let's create a function, and function validate user. This function have to collect the user details. That means I'm just using user. User details means the data coming from form. And what it is actually, this user is an object type. Object type, it contains username, mobile and city. Now what it has to do, it needs errors object. Errors about whom? Errors related to whom? Username. Error related to what? Mobile. Error related to city. Error related to gender. Remember, these are error messages. Error messages means all are strings. All are strings. Error messages are string. And this function should return those errors. It should return those errors. Whatever errors are there, it should return. Now, what should be username error? We have to collect username from user entered in form. And what should be username error? That logic you write. What should be username error? Username error, username is required. How you verify required? How you will verify required? We will write a condition. If user is form data, in that there is a field called username. If user.username.length is equal to 0, that means it is empty. There is no username entered. If it is empty, there is no username entered. If length is 0 means username is empty. Then errors dot username. In that, what error we need to store? We need to store an error called username what? Required. That error message we need to store. Okay, else if username is not empty, I want to verify that username is minimum 4 characters. then I will use another condition. User dot what? Username dot what? Length. If length is less than 4, if it is less than 4, then errors dot what? Username is equal to, here we want to display a message, so name too short. That is the message I want to give. If it is more than 4 characters or equal to 4 characters, then errors dot what? Username, it should be empty. Don't put any message. I just written only 2 conditions, 3 conditions. You can write anything. So it should start with uppercase letter. It should have 10 characters maximum. Everything you have to write manually. Now I written 3 basic things. If username is empty, it will show username required. If username length is less than 4, it says short. If it is satisfying, then it will allow. That is for username. Now similarly, you have to write for all. Suppose I want to write for mobile. So if condition, what is it? If user dot what? Mobile is equal to dot what? Length is equal to 0. That means now errors dot what? Mobile. What should be the mobile error? Say mobile required, something like this. Okay, otherwise if it is entered, I need to verify, is it starting with +91 having 10 digits number, some pattern I need to verify. Then we need another condition. What is it? If user dot what? Mobile. Mobile is a string. How to verify with regular expression? By using match. By using a string function of JavaScript match. Match uses a pattern. Pattern is written in double slash. Slash plus 91 slash D. How many digits? 10. If it is matching with this, then errors dot mobile, we should display empty because it is matching with it. If it is not matching with it, then errors, then errors dot mobile. In that we want to put a message invalid mobile. Like this we want to display. We are writing validation for mobile also. That means if mobile is not entered, mobile required. If mobile is entered, verify its pattern is matching. If pattern is matching, empty. If not matching, show this message. Okay, next important. I want validation for drop down. Drop down, actually, first one, if they selected, it is not a city. Others are cities. How do we know whether they selected first one or not? In JavaScript, how you write validation for drop downs? Usually for this option, we will put a value as -1. And this value is Delhi. And this value is Hyderabad. That means -1 is a tradition. It indicates that it is not among the list. You know that in a collection, index number starts with 0. If it is -1 means it is not among the list. It is not in the list. So -1 indicates that it is not a city. So what we have to do is, when user submits, we need to verify city validation. So if, what is it? User dot what? City. If user city is equal to -1, if it is -1, then errors dot city. In that we should display, please select your city. Please select your city. This message should come. Please select your city. That message should come. Otherwise, errors dot errors.city message must be empty, nothing to show. That is for city. What about radio buttons? Radio buttons are nothing but if you don't select radio buttons, these radio buttons will submit empty. If you don't select radio button name is what? Gender. Gender will submit empty. If you select radio button, they will submit male or female. Male or female. So what we do now here, already you know, actually in interviews, if anybody asked if radio button don't have a value, what does radio button submit? If radio buttons don't have a value, what a radio button and checkbox submits? They submit on as value. Radio buttons, checkboxes in HTML, they will submit on as word, as value. If value is not defined, by default they submit on as a value. So value is compulsory. If you don't define value, radio buttons, checkboxes will submit what? On. They submit on as value. It is important that they need a value. For example, you see here, these are all HTML things. Huh? Suppose in HTML you have so gender, and we have a radio button. Input type is radio. Name is gender. And this is male. And similarly another radio. This name is gender. This is female. Actually what the radios will do in your HTML, you selected female and submit. What it will submit? It will submit on as value. Every radio checkboxes will submit on as value. Then it is difficult to identify which one is selected, because even you select male and you submit, it will take on as a value. That's the reason in general HTML everybody knows that every radio checkbox needs a value, compulsory. If you don't define value, they will submit on. That's a basic thing in HTML. So what we have to do now, we need to write a validation. Value is male or female. So what you do? We write a condition. What is it? If user dot what? Gender. User dot gender is empty, means there is no value. Then what should happen? Errors. In errors we have what? Gender. Gender. So please select a gender. That is the message we need to give. Otherwise errors dot what? Errors dot gender should be empty. These are all the validations we written. For drop down, for radio, for text box, how we write the validations. Now this errors, it should return these errors. Huh? These errors must be returned. So return errors. It should return errors. Whatever errors are there, it should return. So we return one function which validates the form. Who should use this before submitting? Before submitting, Formic must use this. That means now see, we configured Formic. Na? Formic is collecting the data and submitting. But before submitting, it should validate. So here it needs validate. It needs validate. What is the logic of validation? It is already written in a function. You just call the function here. What is the function? Validate user. That's it. Actually, you can write the function directly here. But what we have done, we already written a function. In that we put all the validations and just we are using the function. That means actually what you can do here, you can write a function. Huh? What this function can do, it can take the data and it can validate the data and return the errors. but already we written it. So what we will do, just use the function name. So that means it will collect the data from the form. It will pass that into this function. It will verify, are they matching the requirement? If matching, they will send them here and it will submit it. That is the basic thing. That means it is going to verify your details by using a function. And remember, here all validations we manually written. That means according to our requirements we written. Majority we prefer this. But some validations are very common. Every time they are same. Then we put ready-made validations, which we will see how to do that. But majority situations we write our own validation. Because what is my client requirement, so that ready-made validation may not have. Then we have to write everything our own custom validation. Now comes the important point is, it is verifying, but where to show the messages? It is verifying where to show the messages. I want to show these error messages below these elements. Suppose username error should come here, mobile error should come here, city error should come here, gender error should. So we need to display error messages. So let's go to username. Here we will add a data definition. Below that username, binding expression, collect the username error and show here. How to collect the errors? Formic, because they are in Formic. Formic have a errors object now. We have a Formic errors object. We are returning errors object now. That errors object is having which error? Username. And we will put some color for this, text danger, that is fine. Now the same I need for mobile, data definition, what we have to do. So Formic dot errors related to mobile and class text danger. And below this we need error for city. So Formic dot what errors dot city. This also text danger. And for gender here, so Formic dot errors dot gender. Okay, this is also text danger. And you see now, let's go here, refresh and click on register. When I click register, it shows the validations. All the validations will fire up. I'm entering the validation here. Username required. I'm entering, it says name too short, because we written logic for that also. How many characters minimum it requires? 4. Now it is fine. Mobile number, suppose 9, it is still invalid. 8, 7, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 digit. Still it is invalid because it should start with plus 91, because I written a pattern for that. Now it is valid. You are selecting some Delhi and all, then that message is not there. You selected first one, it shows the message. You selected a city, now it is fine. You are not selecting the city, then it will show. You select the city, it is fine. And you have mail, now it is okay. Anyone is selected, that is fine. This is validating. After validating, submitting, posting to API, all this we will see later, as I told you. First, our concept is how to validate. How do we verify the data? Whatever data entered, how do you verify that? Usually that is validation. And here we validated everything with our custom logic. Our own logics we are writing and verifying. For every concept, suppose there is a password. Password must be at least one uppercase letter, at least one special character. You know how to write them, right? Those patterns you have to verify and display. Already I showed you now. Key up, key down events. I showed you password, strength, strong, weak. I designed one example. I showed you. So this is custom validation. How we can write your own validations, right? For this, what is the process of custom validation? First step, what we have to do for custom validation. First, you have to create a function, that takes that takes form data and validates data. Create a function that takes form data and validates data. So the validation function must return errors object. The validation function must return errors object. So technically, we have a function validate user. It takes the form data, and here we need an errors object. So this is having field name and message, and it should your validation logic for every field. After that, return errors. So what do you think? Form finished? No, we just designed a form and written a basic validation. Collecting data, submitting it, and posting into database, all that we will see later. So as of now, what is the concept we learned? How to design a form and put the validation. Later, other things. First, you have to do this. Okay. Next, after writing this validation, assign validation function to formic validation. How to assign? We have use formic hook, right? Constant formic is equal to use formic. In the use formic, we have initial values. That is okay. These are the form values you will have. Here you need what? Validate. This is validate user. And after that, on submit. On submit will collect the values and do whatever you need there. So here we need to assign validation function to formic validation. Formic have a validate option. There you have to assign it. You can directly write the validation function at validate, or you can write a function and use it there. Now, another important is after that, it's not finished. You have to show the validations. That means you can access and display validation errors in a user interface by using what? by using formic dot what errors. So that means you need to display a simple binding formic dot errors dot field name. We have to access that. So what error message that field name is having, it will show. So here, as I already told you, there are so many levels of validation and form. Yesterday we learned first level, designing a form with formic. Second level, we are verifying the values that entered in the form. Formic is not finished. Formic have so much more to do. It has a lot of things to do. You just learnt only 2 points about it. How do you design a form and how do you validate the fields? It's not finished. Form is not done. It's so much work is there. So up to this is example. Form demo dot what JSX. I will copy this example. In this example, what you done? We designed a form and we are validating by using this. But validating a form with all custom validations, it's good. You need according to your requirements. But if there are simple traditional validations to do, like required, number, and all such, then what you do is better. You can use ready-made validations also. For example, in this additionally, how you verify data types, you know. Suppose actually here we don't have a, let me put that also, suppose temporarily, we have a data term age. Data definition input type is some text. Text or number, you can use any, because here we have a fine. This is name as what? Age. On change. Formic dot what? Handle change. Now this text box age, here we will add age also. It is a number. It is a number. Now how you verify whether it is a number or not? I want to validate the age also. Here I will use age. It is a number, message is string only. How to verify age is a number or not? In JavaScript, how you verify whether a value is number or not? We use isNaN. IsNaN is a JavaScript function used to verify whether it is a number or not. If it is not a number, which one is not a number? User dot what? Age. If it is not a number, then errors dot age. We should display age must be a number. Like this we need to define. Otherwise, else. So else errors dot age. Here we need to display empty. Verifying data types also important. We need to verify, is it a number? Is it a string? For that you need JavaScript knowledge, JavaScript functions. You learned number functions, you learned string functions. They are very important for validation. So how do you verify is it a number or not? By using isNaN. How to verify whether it is an object or not? How to verify whether it is a string or not? For that, JavaScript have a operator called typeof. Typeof is a JavaScript operator. Using that we can get the data type of any value. You know, you have type of, instance of, these are operators. By using those operators, we can know the data type. Type of returns the data type in JavaScript. For number, you have a simple one. What is it? Is NA. And usually here we want to display that error message. So we want to display that error message. What is it? Formic dot what? Errors related to age. So class name text danger. And actually now the form here age refresh here. Here the age you entered some string. It says age must be number. You entered something, so number, that's okay, no problem. Any string is entered, that means it must be number. These are all manually written. These are all manually written. We have to write the validations, right? Okay, let me copy this. This means I added age also, na? I will modify this one, okay? Just roughly. Means many people come and ask, sir, how to do this, how to do that. How to do this, how to do that. That means if it is radio button, how to validate. If it is checkbox, how to validate. So now the point is how to validate. You have to write logic for everything. You just sit before your laptop and say validate, it will not validate. You are a developer. How to do this, how to do that is a nonsense question, right? That means for every concept, a logic is required. A case is required. That's what JavaScript you learned for, right? You learned JavaScript for this reason. That means for every concept you write, you have to write. Then what you learned? You have to write validation for everything. Automatically nothing will happen. That means sometimes you say, sir, I am writing uppercase letter, it is not verifying. Have you written logic for that? No. Then how it will verify? For every scenario, there need to be a logic. You have to write. You haven't written anything, automatically nothing will happen. You have to do it. So for every purpose, you need to write logic. If you miss one condition, then it will not verify. For every concept, you have to write condition, right? These are basic points. Okay, this looks little lengthy. Why it is lengthy? Because it is lengthy, but it is required because we need to write our own validation. Now, instead of writing custom validation, you can use validation schemas. Formic validation schema. Validation schema is nothing but a ready-made validation library. That means you don't write your own validation, apply any ready-made validation. But Formic don't have any ready-made validation. Ready-made validation, again, you need another third party. That means Formic can use predefined validation schemas. What is meant by validation schema? Validation schema is a structured validation with predefined validation services. Validation schema is a structured validation with predefined validation services. What is meant by service? Later you will learn more detailedly in React also, but already every programmer knows about services, right? In every software programming technology, you will come across with services. Technically, what is the concept of services actually is? Generally, remember, in any software programming, Java, .NET, Python or JavaScript, any programming have concept of, we usually have values and functions. We actually have values and functions. Later services detailedly another concept also will come. Actually, we are building an app. We are building one application. When we are building an application, we want these values and functions to use in the application. When we want to use the values and functions in application, suppose think that you are using some technology like Java or .NET or Python or some Node backend technologies or simple like JavaScript and all libraries and all. Usually what happens, by using them you are building an app, and these technologies will provide you some values and functions. You cannot use them directly. It's not recommended. It is not recommended to use the values and functions directly. Then what we do is actually these values and functions, we keep in a location called factory. Those values and functions are kept in a factory. In software programming, factory is a set of values and functions. Related type of values and functions. You will have so many factories. That means string factory have string functions. Math factory have math functions. Array factory have array functions. Related functions are kept in one factory. And again, we cannot use this factory directly. Why we cannot use these factories in our applications? Because factory uses a mechanism called singleton. Factory uses a mechanism called singleton. Singleton means, single call. It uses a mechanism called single call. Single call means I want a function one time, then I need one object to create. I want the function another time, another object I have to create. If I need a function 10 times, I need 10 objects. I need 10 objects. I need to call a function 20 times. I need 20 objects. That means for every object you can call only once. And you need to call a function 10 times and use it in your application. 10 objects are required. To avoid this, your technologies will teach you to design what services. Your technology will teach you designing services. Java, .NET, everybody have services. Every technology have services. Service is a collection of factories. A set of factories are kept in a service. Now your application will use these services. And why they use these services? Because services use a mechanism called what? Singleton. Singleton means you create one object. Through that object you can access any number of times. Singleton means, what is singleton in Java, what is singleton in .NET, what is singleton in OOP languages is a class can have only one instance. Only one instance is created. Through that instance you can access any number of times. That means this is the best way to use libraries. Libraries are always implemented in any technology by using services. Why? Because services use which mechanism? Singleton mechanism. Service is a collection of factories. Factory is a collection of values and functions. So what is meant by predefined validation services? That means they already written something. You just inject them and use them. Already they written all the functions. You just inject them and use them. You can customize according to your requirements and you can use them. That is the concept of service. In any technology, you will find services. For example, you are designing a form. In a form, I want to prevent robots. Then you know it uses CAPTCHA. Form have CAPTCHAs, na? If anybody asks, can you write a code for CAPTCHA? That is a wrong question, because CAPTCHA is not a code to write. CAPTCHA is a service to implement. It is a service to implement. It is an artificial intelligence program. It is a ready-made service we have to implement. It's not a code to write. These are all basics. You'll learn about services detailedly. Here, validation services means predefined. Already everything is written, just inject them and use them. We have to use. So, validation schema have validation services. So technically, Formic uses validation services from YUP library. It uses an YUP library. Formic uses validation services from YUP library. YUP is another library. By using this library, Formic can use services. That means YUP is a popular library for validations. Ready-made validations are present here. You can just import and use them. And it is very popular library for validations. So what you have to do now is you see here. So we have npmjs.com and here in npmjs.com here we are searching for which library? YUP. And you see this is YUP. And what is the YUP concept is? It is an object schema validation. Object schema validation means it is an ready-made validation and updated 2 months ago. Means some new things added. You need to note this every time when you are using a library. Blindly, not just what you learnt in the class. Because these libraries are not stable. They keep on changing. And you need to check when recently it changed. It recently changed 1 week back, 2 days ago also will be there. That means they made some changes. You blindly follow the notes what you written, then it will fail because they made some changes. You need to go into the library and you need to check what changes they are making. That means, see, to be a successful software developer, first point, you must able to explore a technology by yourself. That is the first basic thing you should learn. Because up to this moment, what is available, a trainer can guide you. In future, what will come, we don't know. Then will you join again a course? No, you must able to upgrade yourself. That means to learn any software technology, actually at corporate level, we follow certain standards. For example, see, from more than 22, 24 years, I am teaching. More than 22 years, I am teaching here. Do you know, at corporate level, I worked for Microsoft and HP also for freelance. That means we trained people there in those technologies. Actually, more than 8 years I worked for HP, Microsoft to train trainers. Our job is train the trainers. Trainers will train the developers. Do you know how many days we teach React at corporate companies? 2 days. 2 days. Only 2 days. One weekend, Saturday, Sunday, React.js finish. Only 2 days. In software companies, we maximum take 2 days only to finish React.js. Angular, React, these are all 2 days only. After COVID, we have these batches. Actually, do you know, before COVID, we used to have weekend batches. Now we are not conducting them. Naresh IT have weekend batches. All institutes, they have weekend batches before COVID. Now we are not conducting weekend batches. Weekend batches means Saturday, Sunday, React batch will happen. Saturday 5 hours, Sunday 5 hours. People from Bangalore, Delhi, Chennai, they fly here. They fly from there, come here, stay for 2 days here, learn technology and go. They don't join courses there. They come here, learn and go. 2 days only they will stay. And those 2 days we will finish the technology. And what is the point is that's enough for them. They will go back, they will explore everything. And if they have doubts, they will get back to us. Only 2 days. At corporate level, the time for React is just 2 days. After all, it is a library, man. For you, it will take 2 months. A library for a software developer to learn, it takes only 1-2 days only, maximum. For a professional, I am saying, who is aware of technologies. That means, do you know how we train in corporate level is? Suppose tomorrow's topic is forming. Tomorrow we are going to discuss forming. That means we will ask our learners that tomorrow's topic is forming. You prepare about the topic and come. Then what that learner have to do? He will learn by himself about it, Google it, get information about it. He will know what it is. He will learn about it and come to class. In class, first we will ask, okay, tell me what you understood about it. How to implement, how to handle it, what you understood. He will tell what he explored. Means he done some research. Na? He will tell what he explored. Then we will guide him saying that, no, it's not like that. You have to do this way. Now here, if I ask you like tomorrow we are going to learn Formic, you have to prepare and come. Then you will say, then why you are here if I have to learn by myself? Remember, such mindset people cannot be a software engineer for lifetime. Right? I am paying fees. Why I have to prepare? You have to tell me everything. Such mindset people are not software engineers. Understood? If you have that mindset, remember, you will never survive in software company. Never. I will challenge. You will never survive in software companies with such mindsets. Right? That means a trainer have to train you everything. You are not a software developer. You are not a software developer. You can't be a software developer. You can't survive in companies. Then what you will do? That means if any new version comes, somebody have to guide you. You have to explore yourself. You need to change yourself. Do you know in companies layoff happens? They kick some people out. Who are those people? These people who don't know how to upgrade themselves. Those are kicked out. Others survive. Why? Because they know how to handle, how to explore the technology. That means if we say tomorrow we are going to learn this concept, then you have to get prepared with that and come. That means you should be prompting like this, sir, this, sir, this, sir, this you have to do and all. But these days we have to tell everything. You will not explore by yourself. Then remember, you are not software developers. You can't survive. You have to explore, especially technologies in modern generation, because they are very rapidly changing. Very rapidly changing. Nobody can guide you every day. You have to keep update. So this you should remember forever, right? So these libraries, especially very frequent changes, you have to keep updated. Up to today, what is there, I will tell you. But next day, next few days, what changes they make, you have to explore. You have to keep in touch with them. That's how technology is learned, right? So actually, when we train people on corporate level, this is what we do. Do you know generally when we go to corporate level, means earlier, they ask, do you know in Hyderabad one concept is they ask like, sir, here please don't teach like Amirpet. When we go to corporate level, they ask that specially, saying that, sir, don't teach like Amirpet. Why don't teach like Amirpet? Because in Amirpet, how they teach, a trainer trains na, you have to eat a banana. That means now we will show this is banana, yellow color, open, peel off, left, right, peel, open your mouth please. Now I will put in your mouth. Now you have to chew it. Then after that, drink water. That's what we have to tell. right? Even a monkey knows how to eat banana. Am I right? But in Amirpet, we have to train people like this because they come from very basics, non-technical background, technical background, so they don't know anything. Like this, we have to teach, train level by level. They get used to this. In corporate level, they don't want like that. They will say that, sir, please don't do like that. Just tell them the overview of concept. They have to prepare by themselves. Otherwise, they can't survive in companies. Understood? Huh? That means here we have to detailedly elaborate every concept. Corporate level, they don't do that. Just only one sentence about it. One sentence about it. They say that now you prepare about that. That's how a developer has to prepare himself. Huh? You need to keep this in mind, right? So why this concept? Because you need to keep in touch of this when it is updated. If it is recently updated, some changes may have done, right? You need to keep updated. Let's see. I will open this YUP. And what is this YUP? YUP is nothing but it is a library. It is a library for validation schemas. And of course, it will give you all detailed information. I will give you a simple technique. Means you have to read all this. You need to read its features, what changes they are making, everything you have to read this. Let's see how to use it. First thing, we have to install YUP in our library. Let's do one concept now. Take this new npm, what is it? Install, what is it? YUP, and save. We are installing YUP library. So when you are installing YUP library, it is done. Now, what you have to do is here, let's delete this validation function now. Remember, whatever the function I written, I am deleting. See, lengthy function, almost 20-30 lines validation I written, I deleted. And remove this validate also now. That means there is no validation. But formic validation errors are there because we want to show the errors through another technique. Now what we have to do is, we have to use YUP, which is a ready-made library. How do you use YUP, which is a ready-made library? First, you have to import. Actually, YUP have so many validations like required, min length, max length, pattern, so many validations are there. It provides two facilities. You import only what you want, or you import everything. If you want to import all validations, import asterisk as YUP from YUP. This is what you have to do. From YUP library you have to do. What does this asterisk means? It means all. Import all services. Or there is another technique. What you can do? You can simply write import. What import? Required. Required from what? YUP. That means it will import only required validation. But I want all validations. All validation, then better you import asterisk as YUP. That means through this YUP reference, you can access all the validations. Okay, now let's go. Here in the formic, we have to write validation schema now. Previously what we are using? Validation. Now it needs validation schema. Schema is built by using which library? YUP. YUP have an object. This YUP object can build the library. YUP object can build the library. What is the schema library it has to build? YUP object uses keys. What are the keys now? In this object, what validations you want? I want validation for which field? Username. What is the validation for username? Username is string and it is required. So what you have to do? YUP dot, what is the data type? String. And dot chaining. Just what required? Dot, what is it? Min. You can add all the validations. Ready? It's done. That means it have two validations. What is the validation? Three validations. Data type must be string. required must be true. Another one, minimum. Minimum you, you give here. See, required, what message you want to show. Message what, username what, required. Min how much? Min how much? 4. What is the message if it is not minimum 4? So name 2, what is it? Short. That's it. Now we want to validate age. Then age. What is the validation for age? You have to give, yep. What is the data type? Number. This is also what? Required. Here we will give what? Age required. After that, no need of anything. You can add min max also. Minimum age how much, maximum age how much, you can add anything. Suppose I want to use another validation. Another validation for what? Mobile. Mobile. What is it? Yep. Yep dot mobile is what type? String. And mobile is also what? Required. I will give here mobile dot mobile what? Required. Then you see it have a pattern, that means matches. It matches with regular expression. What is the regular expression? Slash plus 91 slash D. How many digits? 10. And if it is not matching, message. Message is what? Invalid mobile. Invalid mobile. Like this we can add. Now unfortunately you don't have validation for radio checkboxes. You don't have validation for drop downs. Then I have to use combination. Combination of both custom validation as well as predefined. But predefined is very simple now. And you don't need to write much logic, because you see now I removed all the function. And here I am displaying the message. Message is same. Formic dot what? Errors. Which error? Because this validation schema will return all the errors. And just you see now, this time I am using the validation. I click on register, it shows that. I am entering the details. I am entering the details. It is there. I am entering some string. It says age must be number. I entered some age is required. I entered something, that is fine. Mobile, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we have what? Plus 9, 1. That's fine. Now this looks little simple, but again it have problem. What is it? It don't have all validations. Limited are there. Email validation, min length, max length required, but drop downs you can't validate. And radios you cannot validate. Then again for that you need custom. So you need a combination of both. But if schema can do it with schema. It is very simple. You don't need to write any logical functions much. This looks little better. That's the reason you need a combination of both things. You need combination of what? Validation schemas, and you need validation. You need validation. So schema is defined by using which library? Yep library. How to install, how to set up, and how do we use this Yep library? That we will see with another example. One more time I will show you detailedly, that we will see tomorrow. Remember, it is still not done. We have more simple ways. That means you are learning level by level. That means you have more simple ways of designing a form with validation. Very simple. It looks more better than others. We will see all the techniques, how to handle them. So in the next session, we will learn how to use these schemas and how to implement the schema. Tomorrow we'll do that. Okay.